Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about tattoos in ancient Greece and how the idea and meaning of tattoos has changed over time and what it meant to those in Greece. The topic I want to jump into is how they promoted values in ancient Greece. So in about 119 BC, which was ancient Greece, tattoos promoted values to people because a tattoo made a person think that they had to get one. For example, tattoos had a title. If you had a certain tattoo, it meant you were a certain type of person. If you had one tattoo, it could mean that you were rich. You had another, it could mean you were a barbarian. And if you had another one, it means you were a slave. So the idea of tattoos promoted values in people's heads because it made them think that they needed to have a certain tattoo to abide by the standards in ancient Greece. Everything was about how they were perceived and how others perceived them as. Someone didn't want to get a tattoo and be perceived as a slave. They wanted to either be a barbarian or someone that's rich, someone wealthy. Their reputation was important to them. So the next topic I want to get into is how tattoos were circulated. Nowadays we have commercials, we have ads, we have flyers, big open signs in tattoo parlors, things telling us where we can get a tattoo and what tattoos we can get. But in ancient Greece, which was 119 BC, they didn't have that. They didn't have the technological advances that we do. So tattoos were circulated a little bit differently. The people played a major role in circulating the idea of tattoos, the communities, because people would travel. So where they saw in one place and didn't see in another, they would communicate. For example, if someone were to leave ancient Greece and go to Persia, for example, and they saw that a lot of Persians had tattoos. They think, oh, wow, that's real interesting. And they go back to ancient Greece and communicate that to his fellow people. Hey, they're over there and they have tattoos. Isn't that interesting? And then that idea gets circulated, and now people in ancient Greece want tattoos. So that's how tattoos were circulated back then. The idea of tattoos. That's how they were circulated. Tattoos were reproduced using sharp objects, kind of like needles, and the ink was made of carbon and ash and mixed together with water. I know it's a little different than how tattoos are made now. Back then, they didn't have the things that we have now. They didn't have the nice needles, the electric needles that go into your skin 1,000 times per second. You know, that's not what they had. Back then, they just had a real sharp object and some ink made of carbon and ash. And they used that to give people tattoos. And typically, the sharp object being used wasn't as small and as sharp as a needle. So it caused a lot more pain than a tattoo would for us now. So that's tattoos in ancient Greece were interpreted in different ways by different people. Different people saw one tattoo and it made them see you a different way, and saw another tattoo and it made them see you in another way. And I'm going to explain that right now. So, for example, if you were poor and you had a tattoo, it looked horrible. I mean, it didn't heal right. It looks infected. It's got green pus coming out of it. People will see that tattoo and interpret it as, oh, they're poor, they're below me, keep walking. On the other hand, you have the wealthy that have nice tattoos, nice color, nice shapes, nice design, is healed properly, zero infection. And someone would interpret that as, oh, they're wealthy, they're rich, I should stay away from them, they're above me. So that's how tattoos were interpreted. That's the different interpretations for different people. Because rich people will see a tattoo, and if a person was poor, they will look that way and keep walking. They wouldn't associate with someone below them. Tattoos in ancient Greece shaped cultural ideas in a number of ways, both negatively and positively. Tattoos in Greece really showed what was really important to those in ancient Greece. It showed that reputation was more important to them than anything else. It brought about everyone's character. For example, those who were wealthy, tattoos changed their cultural ideas because they're wealthy and now they think they're above everyone else just because they have a tattoo that says they're wealthy. Those who are poor, they know they're below everyone else, or they think they're below everyone else just because they have a tattoo that says so. and then barbarians. Barbarians had tattoos because of the amount of people that they killed and the amount of wars that they've been in. Their tattoo changed their ideals and the way they thought because it made them think that they were bigger and stronger than everyone else. And that is how tattoos really impacted their culture as a whole, because it brought a different personality, or it brought a different mindset out of each and every person from each and every group that they didn't have before tattoos. Tattoos in ancient Greece shaped people's expectations because depending on the tattoo that you had on your arm or on your back or on your neck is how they expected you to act or expected you to be. For example, if you were a slave and you had a tattoo that marked that you were a slave, they expected you not to talk and to do what you were told. They expected you to do your work and go back to the dungeons. But on the other hand, if you were wealthy or rich and you had a tattoo that symbolized that, they expected you to act like you were better than everyone else and treat people to any type of way that you want to. That's how you were expected to act because you had that tattoo. And then barbarians, because of the tattoo that they had, and depending on the amount of tattoos they had because of their kills and the amount of wars they've been in, they were expected to act scary and dangerous and raid homes and kill people. And that's what they were expected to act like, just due to the fact that they had a tattoo on their body. Now I want to get into how tattoos, how that symbolism was used to create meaning in ancient Greece. So, for example, tattoos for barbarians were used to put fear in the eyes of those who saw that. That was the meaning it had behind it. The amount of kills he had. The meaning behind it was he was scary, leave him alone, walk away. He's bigger, he's stronger. Tattoos for the wealthy were meant to create a meaning of superiority, a meaning of being above another person. So if someone saw someone with a tattoo that insinuated that they were wealthy, they wouldn't be able to talk to them because they're above them. They were the closest thing to God that they had in that era. Tattoos in ancient Greece formed personal and group identities by making it so that each person with each different tattoo stuck to themselves. For example, if you were a slave and you labored, you worked every single day, and you had a tattoo that symbolized that you were a slave and you belonged to someone else, you were grouped with the other slaves. You stuck together because a slave wasn't allowed to talk to a barbarian because the tattoo that they had, barbarians were above slaves. And slaves weren't allowed to talk to the wealthy because slaves are below them. They were forced to stick to their group, to stick to their side. Or in other terms nowadays, to stay in their lane. That's what slaves were forced to do. And the tattoo was made to create personal groups or identities the same way for the other groups. For being wealthy, if you had a wealthy tattoo that symbolized that you were rich, the wealthy hung out with the wealthy because they were above everyone else. Being seen with someone lower than them was bad for their reputation. And reputation meant everything to those in ancient Greece, and they wouldn't jeopardize that to hang with someone below them. Same goes for barbarians. They had their tattoos. They had the number of kills on their bodies tattooed after every battle and every war. They weren't going to hang out with anyone below them. If you didn't have that tattoo, they weren't going to hang out with you because their reputation, they had to uphold their reputation. They weren't going to let their reputation be jeopardized because of someone below them or lower than them. Tattoos played a major role in society in ancient Greece, a major role. It was negative. It was negative and it was positive for some people, but its role was major. Tattoos changed how every person thought in ancient Greece. It changed how everyone thought, and it changed what they thought was important with life. It changed their ideas, their culture, everything. It changed how they acted with one another. Everything. Tattoos weren't always in ancient Greece. They were the idea of tattoos were taken from the Persians. So before the tattoos were there, the idea of reputation and one person is higher than the other, the hierarchy wasn't there. But after tattoos were brought into ancient Greece, the hierarchy was created. Tattoos created a hierarchy in ancient Greece. And after that, they kept it going. Wealthy at the top, barbarians in the middle, and the poor and or slaves were at the bottom. So I would like to show y'all some additional images. So here you can see dug up, and the photographs taken, you can see the tattoos still on the bodies. And next I'm going to compare them to current day tattoos, what tattoos look like now. And so in those pictures, you were able to see how tattoos in ancient Greece and tattoos now are different, and how the design of tattoos and the color and the shading were able to get better over centuries and centuries of time and technological advances. And that is all I have today on tattoos in ancient Greece.